Hey everyone, my name is Tori and today's video is going to be my fall makeup basket, or I guess pretty much just the makeup that I'm focusing on using in the months of September, October-ish. I'll probably switch it up around November, December for the holidays and that sort of thing. So with makeup basket, these are definitely things that I'll be focusing on, like the products that I'll be mainly using in my rotation for the next month or two, but I don't necessarily limit myself to just these things. It's kind of like if I'm getting ready for work one morning, like really quickly, it's just the products that I'm just going to be pulling without having to think about it kind of thing. I'm constantly branching out and using other things in my collection just to, make sure I'm using everything that I have, or, maybe I want to just try something different one day. So I'm not limited to these things, but these are definitely the things that I want to be spending more energy and time focusing on in the coming months. So let's get started. So I'm going to continue using the same primer. This is the Too Faced Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. And this is actually my little mini size that I just got in a sample, not a sample, like a little kit in my Sephora haul. I actually have this in a full size. I'm almost done with it, so that's the one that I'll be continuing to use. I think I'm also probably going to mix in my, I have a little bit left of my First Aid Beauty, I think it's called the Coconut Smoothie Skin Primer, something like that. It's more of a hydrating primer. Since I have combination skin, I like to mix and match primers. I use a more mattifying primer on the center of my face, and then I use a more hydrating primer on the outer perimeter of my face. Usually I don't have to do that until it starts getting a little bit colder outside because the weather is a little bit drier than it usually is, but I don't know. For now, this is usually enough for my skin. The foundation that I'll be focusing on is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour fresh wear foundation. So this foundation, I think it came out this year. This is my first bottle of it. I don't know exactly where I am, but I know that I've used a lot of it. It hasn't settled to where I can find a line, and maybe that's because I'm using it, so I'm like shaking it up before I use it, but I'm in the shade 400 Pearl. This is my regular, like normal skin tone shade. I also have a darker shade in this foundation as well that I can mix in case I have more of a tan, like if I self-tan or something like that, so I can kind of mix to find my perfect shade, but this is the shade that matches me on a regular daily basis. I really love this foundation. The only thing I don't love about it is it has a fragrance to it, and the fragrance is just kind of weird. I don't know if that's like intentional or not, but the fragrance is it's just a little strange. So if you're sensitive to fragrances, I don't know how much you would like this or how much that would bother you, but just keep that in mind. This is a really nice foundation. I do get the long wear out of it. It's not as mattifying as like my Too Faced Comfort Matte Peach foundation. I should know what this is called by now. But the one that's in this line, the Comfort Matte foundation, it's not as mattifying as that one, so it definitely has a more, like, I would almost say maybe a little more lightweight, breathable texture to it. This definitely has a more natural finish to it. I really like this foundation. It's nice. It's just a really good foundation. It works well if you have really oily skin. I would definitely recommend using a mattifying primer or setting spray or powder or something like that to pair with it. And it works just fine for me that way with my combination skin. So love this foundation, and that's what I'll be using the next couple months. My concealer that I'll be using is the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light Sand. And this is actually just a pinch too dark for me. I think I have one other Tarte Shape Tape currently in my collection, and I think it's like a shade or two lighter, and that one matches me a little bit better. Once powder and everything is on, you can't really tell. But this is actually Light Sand is normally a shade that I'll get in foundation. It's just I'm between a couple of shades, just kind of given, how much sun I've had, but I can make this one work just fine. I really like this concealer. This may be my second or third one. These take forever to go through. It has a huge doe foot applicator. I'm sure you've seen it before. It's nothing new. I love this concealer because it is very full coverage, but it doesn't look thick and cakey on my skin. I do like it under the eyes. It works just fine for me there with I typically use it with the Laura Mercier Loose Translucent Setting Powder, but recently I've been experimenting with some other powders, so we'll see how that goes. But so far, I mean, this is a great concealer, and this is what I'll be using. To set my face, I'm going to be using my IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Airbrush Perfecting Powder. It's a sheer to full coverage. It says it's a finishing veil, but I don't know if anybody uses this as an actual foundation. Maybe you could. I use it just to set my face. So as you can see, I've used a lot of it so far. So I want to go ahead and just finish it up. I love that this has SPF 50 in it. It doesn't replace a sunscreen for me, but it's, it's nice to have additional sun protection. So this powder is not necessarily, I wouldn't call it mattifying. It's more of a natural finish. I like it. I don't think I would purchase it again, only because I really like my L'Oreal face powder and I like my Maybelline face powder, and there's just really no need to purchase a really high-end expensive powder when I have a drugstore version that works perfectly fine for me. So that would probably be the only reason I wouldn't repurchase it. That, and I do think it's, you know, not as mattifying as I would like or as I need for setting my face. So it's a good powder though. I do really like it. So I'll be continuing to use this and hopefully I'll be able to use it up pretty soon. For setting underneath my eyes and setting my T-zone and my smile lines and my little wrinkle in my forehead, I will be using the Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder, and mine is in the shade Translucent. And honestly, this is not translucent. You can see that it has a slight, very slight peach tint to it. And I thought, oh, well, you know, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have said, well, it's really is translucent. Like you blend it out and you can't really tell. Well, I don't know if this is because like my face is like so fair, but when I set my face with this powder, I can see a very, very light sheer peach color. And I only set the center of my face essentially in my under eyes with this, so it's once everything's on, like powder and bronzer and blush and all that kind of thing, you can't tell. But without that, you can kind of see that there's a peach tint to it. So I'm still kind of on the fence if like that bothers me or not. Honestly, I can't tell. Like again, when everything's said and done, I can't tell. Like I can't see the peach, but it's just kind of strange to me that it says it's translucent, but it's not really translucent, at least not on my skin. So maybe that's just because I'm so fair. I'm not sure. But other than that, I do really like this powder so far. I've had a really good experience with it. I've used it for about a week and I've been going back and forth with the Fenty powder, and both of those powders are new to me. I got them in my Sephora VIB sale haul and I'll link that down below in case you're interested. But I don't know how I feel about it yet, mostly because I don't know if it's breaking me out. I think, and I'm not sure, it's either the powder, and I tried the setting spray from this line as well. I don't know if they're breaking me out or not, or if it's a skincare product that I'm using, or if I just had like a really weird skincare week. You know how you get like those weird skin weeks where your skin just like freaks out for no apparent reason? Can't really tell what it is yet. So I'm trying to use just this and not the spray and like no new skincare to see if that's what it is, but I can't tell what it is so far. Jury's still out on this one. I'll let you know how I feel about it. I feel like it's too soon to tell, so I'm going to continue to use it and see how it goes. For bronzer, I will be focusing on my Colourpop Private Party bronzer. This bronzer is slightly sheeny and it has kind of a more warm-ish undertone. I thought it would be a little more neutral, but it is a little warm. I'm wearing it on my face today. I like it. I think it's nice. I don't necessarily know if I would repurchase it. It reminds me a lot of the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which is one of my favorite bronzers, but I don't think it blends out as well as the butter bronzer does. And I'm still, you know, I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, so I'm still just kind of on the fence about it. It hasn't completely blown my mind or anything. I do really like it. Like if I had it, I would use it, but I don't know if I would go out and actually buy it again. Maybe I would. I don't know. I feel like it's less than $10. I think it was maybe $7 or $8. I'm not sure. So, I mean, if it came down to it, if I had to choose between the two, pricing wise, I might choose this one again because it is so similar to the Physicians Formula Bronzer, and the Physicians Formula Bronzer is like $13, $14, $15, something like that. I would probably get this one over that because of the price and because they are very similar. But I do think I like the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer formula a little bit better, but I'm not sure. I feel like it's still a little too soon to tell. I'm going to continue to use this, but in the meantime, I like it. I don't love it, but I do like it. There's also some other shades from this range in Colourpop, so I was thinking of maybe trying another shade as well and seeing if a different shade would work better for me, but I'll be using this bronzer. For blush, I have two blushes that I'll be using, and they kind of correspond to the eye palettes that I'll show in just a second. So this one is by MAC, and this is in the shade Mocha. It's a matte blush. This one is kind of a mauve-ish berry tone. I love tones like this, like just anything that's like blushy mauve, rosy, that whole family. I love it. It does pull a little bit warmer than I thought it would, but I do still really like the color, and this is something that I really like to pair with like an everyday type of look when I'm wearing like a blushy mauve eye. The other blush that I'll be using is by Kylie Cosmetics, and this one is in the shade Close to Perfect. This one has more of, I feel like a peachy, almost brownie undertone. I really like this color. I've only used it maybe once or twice, so I want to get more use out of it to actually like really form an opinion on the color. I wanted to put two blushes that had slightly different undertones in them. The MAC one, it has a little more pink in it, like a pinky mauve rose, and this one has a little more peachy brownish, like a dirty peachy pink brown. They're both really good everyday blushes, and I just like them for different reasons for the undertone. So, and I also love both of these blush formulas. For highlight, I will be focusing on my Fenty Beauty Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal Highlighter Duo, and you've already seen this one, I think, a while back in one of my like products I've hit pan on videos, and I talked about it a lot there, so I'll link that video down below if you're interested. But my favorite side of this is obviously the one that I've hit major pan on, and that's like the more subtle highlight. And then this side has the more like glittery, not even glittery, I feel like that's too strong, shimmery, just intense, more, just like more intense vibe. So I want to use the more like sparkly one just to get more use out of this product as a whole. I love to use this product with the Fenty highlighting brush. It's the one that kind of looks like a shark tooth that's like jagged. I love that highlighting brush, especially with this product. This side is just my favorite, and I want to use the other side, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it, but I want to use the other side as much as possible because I think I've decided that I want to repurchase this duo for my wedding. My wedding's in December, so I'm really hoping that there's going to be another Sephora VIB sale between now and December so I can get another one of these, because I think that this side is my wedding highlight. I think it's the one, so I want to get a new one. I don't know. So in the meantime, I want to use this one up as much as possible because I don't want to just like go buy a new one just for this one side. Oh, I wish they made them in singles. So anyway, this is the highlight I will be using. I'm also going to just go ahead and throw in my Colourpop palette, and this has all the blushes that I talked about in my most recent Colourpop haul except for one highlight. So this highlight is Here Kitty Kitty, and I use this one when I don't know what highlight I want to use. Like, it's such a good highlighting shade. I feel like it's in between Becca Moonstone and Becca Champagne Pop. Like, this is the highlight. So, and I always say like Champagne Pop can sometimes be too dark for me, and Moonstone can sometimes be too light for me. So I feel like Here Kitty Kitty is the perfect in between, and it's like a fraction of the Becca cost. So I use that one a lot. This blush right here is To the 10, and I've only used this one a couple of times, but these other 4 blushes are what I've really been focusing on in the past couple of months since I've had them, or maybe it's only been a month. However long I've had these. Days are just like running together. But these 4 down here are the ones that I've been focusing on recently because I just got them in my Colourpop haul. I will also link that down below if you're interested in seeing that. These are the 4 blushes that Colourpop collaborated with Kathleen Lights to create. So we have So Retrograde, My Sun and Stars, Lunar Has It, and I Need Space. So I've just been experimenting with all of these blushes. I've been mixing them and been wearing them on their own just to really form like a solid opinion about it. I do plan on filming a follow-up haul about all of those Colourpop purchases that I made in the past couple months. I feel like maybe since May. So I want to do a follow-up haul on all of that just to kind of go over my thoughts on all of these items and like revisit it when I have a very strong opinion form. So I want to throw this in there because I think this is this is a palette that I use constantly. I just leave it sitting out on my vanity, and I'll mix it with whatever I'm currently using anyway, because they're just so good and they're so affordable for me. So I love that. I actually put one other highlighter in here. This is also by the brand Kylie Cosmetics. This is in the old cardboard packaging, and this is the highlighter in the shade French Vanilla, and this is like, for a while, this was my favorite highlight like ever, and I love the undertone of it. It's like a very soft light gold, but it's not super metallic reflective. You can build it up to be that way, but I like that you can apply it and it's a little softer. I love this highlighter, and I just wanted to throw it back into the rotation because I feel like I haven't used it in a while, and it's one that I really enjoy using, and it has it's more on the warm side for these other eyeshadow looks that I have in here. So really quickly before I move on to the eyeshadow, this is the Tarte Park Ave Princess Contour Palette? Chisel Palette? It's a contour palette. It's huge. It's got a lot of different shades in here. So what I use this for the most are these 2 shades down here. I will mix these 2 and use them to blend out anything on my face. Literally, I use it every single day. I'll blend out my blush, my bronzer, highlight, whatever. That's my favorite way to use those 2 powders. I think I'll probably hit pan on those pretty soon, which kind of makes me sad because I don't know how often I'll reach for this palette once those 2 shades are gone, honestly. The other shades they're fine, like they're good, but if I could, you know, if I ran out of this palette, I don't know if I would go back and repurchase it. I have used this contour shade. I do think it's nice. It's a good, cool undertone. And I've mixed these two as bronzers before, but I do think they're a little hard to blend out. So really, I'm only using 3 shades in this. So, I mean, I don't necessarily need to repurchase this, but I do think it's, I mean, I'm getting my use out of it since I have it. I do like it for what I use it for, but I am finding that I'm not using it as much as I thought that I would. For eyeshadow, I have 3 different palettes. This first one's not really a palette, it's more like a duo. This is by NARS, and this is in the shade Isolde, and this is one of their double, like, little split pan eyeshadow sets. For a while there, I was using this, like, pretty consistently, but I've had this for a while, and I haven't used it in a while, and I want to get more use out of it. I think the bronzy tones are really pretty for, I mean, for summer, yes, but also transitioning into fall, and then with, like, a darker lip. I think it's so pretty. So what I'll do with this one is I use the gold all over my lid, and I'll use the bronzy shade in the crease and kind of blend the two together. It's a very simple, just easy eye look, very quick, and it looks like so stunning on the eyes because it's so reflective and like delicious and rich. I'm gonna pull in 2 Anastasia palettes, and this first one is the Modern Renaissance palette. I'm sure you are very familiar with this one. I love this palette. You can see it's very well loved. I've actually hit pan up here in the tempera shade, but I want to just get more use out of this palette. I used to love wearing it, and I wore it all the time, and I feel like I kind of got into this place where I somehow accumulated a lot of palettes very quickly, and I kind of just put this one off to the side, and I want to go back to it and use it more, because every time I use it I'm like, oh, I love this palette, and everyone's like, what's on your eyes? And it's like Modern Renaissance. Like, I love it. I love this palette, and I think it pairs really, really beautifully with these types of like mauve-y, rose toned, blushy, beigey blushes. Ugh, that was a terrible description. I think it'll pair nicely with the MAC Mocha blush, and then if I want to do something that's a little more of like a warm toned look, which you can kind of go both ways with this palette, I think it will pair nicely with the Close to Perfect blush. So that's why I have those 2 blushes. I feel like the undertones are different, but I feel like you can get different undertone looks with this palette, which is what I love about it. Because I feel like you can go like in a pink direction, in a warm brown direction, or you could do like red. You know, there's just like the options are endless, and I love it. So this is a really great palette. Of course, you know this, so I will be using this. I also want to pull in my Soft Glam palette, and this palette I haven't used as much as I thought I would. I love it. I just haven't used it as much as I feel like I should have by now. So it's got a mixture of mostly warm tones, but a few neutral tones. You have like some cool tones over here, but I feel like this is a mostly warm palette. I really love the colors in here. I think that they're super wearable. They're colors that I gravitate towards a lot, but I just don't reach for it, and I really don't know why, because the times that I've used it, I really love it. So it's just weird. I think it's just, again, it's one of those things like I just have too much, and I just want to like revisit things that I know that I like, and that should have more use by now. So I'm excited to pull this one into the rotation, and specifically for this palette, I feel like this Kylie blush will look nice paired with it because it has a lot more warm undertones. I also think Lunar has it. This like peachy blush is also a really great pair for the Soft Glam palette as well. Continuing with eyes, I'm going to go through this very quickly because these are all products that you've seen me use a million times. You already know they're my favorite. This is the e.l.f. brow pencil in the shade Taupe. I'll be using this as well, of course, as always. Then I'm setting that with my Anastasia clear brow gel, as always. I'm actually almost out of this, and I'm going to start using my NYX Control Freak brow gel next. So if I run out in this month, then I'll be moving on to the next one. I'm using the Physicians Formula Eye Booster 2-in-1 Lash Boosting Eyeliner and Serum in the shade Ultra Black. It's a brush tip eyeliner. It's what I use literally every single day. And then I have my 2 mascaras. This is the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. Normally I'm using the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. The only reason I'm using this one is because I bought it in a set. I do like it, but I like the L'Oreal Lash Paradise a little bit better. And the Maybelline Lash Sensational. I always layer the Maybelline on top of the L'Oreal or the Too Faced Better Than Sex. I will layer it on top of that one, and that's my favorite way to wear mascara. I don't know if that'll ever change. And then my eyeliner that I'm trying to use up, this is from MAC, and this is in the shade Teddy. It's one of their eye koals. I have had this for so long. You can tell, I mean, it's little. So I'm really hoping to finish this up because honestly, I have had this for way too long. I don't even know when I bought this, and I'm kind of nervous to look up the batch code and find out. I want to try a brown Colourpop liner first before repurchasing this one to see if I, you know, if I like that one just as much as this one. I won't get this one again because it's more expensive, but I do really like this eyeliner. It's just a nice brown color and it wears really well and it's just good. It's really good. For the lips, I wanted to pull in some darker, more like vampy fall colors. This is the Colourpop and Kathleen Lights Twinkling Lights collection in the shade Little Star. This is a matte liquid lipstick. I love the color of this one. It's got that kind of burnt red brick undertone. It's like my favorite color to wear on my lips, like ever. I love colors like this. I'm super excited to wear this for the color. I'm not necessarily like a matte lip kind of gal, mostly because like for my job, I'm usually working like 14-hour days, like normally, like that's just like an average day, and then other days it's longer, and by lunch, like, or by the afternoon, I'm over it. I don't want to be wearing a matte liquid lipstick for that long. I'll end up like wiping it off and either reapplying it or I will put on a gloss because I don't want to mess with it. So I do love the look of matte lips though, so it's kind of a trade-off there, but I am excited to wear this one. I actually haven't worn this yet. I've only swatched it, so I'm excited to like actually wear it. The next thing in here is another Colourpop item, and this is their lipstick from the Disney collection in the shade Tiana, and you've actually saw this in my haul. This is from the Disney designer collection they came out with all the princesses. I love the shade because it's just so fall time appropriate. It's so just delicious and warm and red and bricky berry. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to wear this. This is just one of my favorite colors to wear. Like this kind of color family between these two colors or around these two colors and that color family is like my favorite. I love it, especially in the fall and the winter. As a lip liner for this lipstick, I'll be using the Italia Deluxe Ultra Fine Lip Liner in the shade Cabaret. And this lip liner is kind of like a wine red, like a burgundy berry situation. I used to live like down the street from the original Morphe store in Burbank, like 5 minutes down the street, and they used to sell this brand. I don't know if they do anymore. I'm assuming they don't. I don't even know where you can get this lip liner. But when I bought it, it was very inexpensive. I feel like it was less than $5. It's super long, so you get a ton of product in it, and it was great. It lasted well and was a great product. So I have this actually in a couple other colors. I think I may have used one up. Like, these were my only lip liners that I had for a minute there, so I really like them, and it's one that I continue to reach for. So if anybody knows where you can find this, let me know because I have no idea. Last thing I have in here is a gloss, and I wanted to go ahead and include a gloss because I'm just a gloss person. I feel like that's like kind of my home base is just gloss because it's just so easy to wear. So I'm going to put in my NYX Intense Butter Gloss, and this is in the shade Tres Leches. And I'm actually wearing this on my lips today, and the Intense Butter Gloss, like the name would suggest, is more intense than the regular butter gloss. It's a little thicker and a little more opaque. I mean, I say that, at least this color is. I don't know if they're all like that, but I think that they are. It kind of reminds me more of the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula in terms of opacity and kind of thickness. It's what I'm wearing on my lips today. It's not so thick that it's uncomfortable, but you could definitely like layer it to where it's uncomfortably thick. But I do really like the color. I actually bought it because I saw online that it was a dupe for one of the Kylie glosses, Candy K, Cocoa K, something like that. I can't really speak to that, but I do really like the color. It's kind of more of like a nudie pink, but it's a little more dark, so on my skin tone. So I really enjoy this gloss a lot. It's very comfortable. It smells good. And if you like the butter glosses, try the Intense Butter Gloss. I mean, it's intense. Oh, and then to top everything off, I have my Urban Decay De-Slick Oil Control Setting Spray. And again, I was using the Too Faced Peach, this one from this line, the Peach Mist. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's supposed to be mattifying, and I can't tell if it's breaking me out. I hope it's not. So I'm gonna kind of like take a break from it and come back to where that's the only new product I'm using, so I can really tell if it's breaking me out or not. I really hope that it's not, because none of the other products in that line have broken me out, I don't think. But I love this setting spray. I've been using it for years and years and years, and it's like my old faithful. The days that I forget to use this setting spray, I can tell a difference in the long wear of my makeup, and like the oil control. Well, that's all I have for this video today. If you have any products that you are focusing on in the fall months or in the next month or two, I would love to know what they are. If you're currently using any of these products that I talked about today, I would love to know your thoughts on them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.